Hi folks, it's Ela, and I'm going to do a part 2 of some larger sketchbooks from 2025. This first sketchbook is of Hahnemuhle paper. It's a German company, and I like this one in particular because it's 100% cotton. I find that even if it isn't, it's still good paper. It'll just be less expensive, which is nice too. Always a reliable brand. So I'm going back a little bit at the end of 24, but good to remember that sketchbooks are not just about doing pictures. You can also just play around. Here I am testing out all of the colors in my White Night set. And, you know, it's a chance to keep records as well. So here's some figs. These are Winsor & Newton, and down here is the Rich Earth collection. And up here, these are all supposed to be granulating colors, although these two, I believe, are both phthalo-based colors, which they're not granulating at all. I kind of wonder why they threw them in there, but they are very pretty. And it is fun to have a granulating purple like that, kind of unusual. So, you know, doing sketches of my studio where I keep all my stuff. This is El Cerrito Hill in the parking lot in front of 99 Ranch Market. I did a craft fair and they were setting up. These are demonstrations of clouds that I did for a class. I think they're supposed to be more like that. So the sun is coming from above and hitting the cloud, and then there's the shadow underneath. We're painting glass in a class, and we had a beautiful red vase. This was painting in my friend's yard. They were doing construction on some buildings there. There it is. And both of these were from the East Bay Sketchers group. I've been painting and drawing a lot with them once a month. This was somewhere in Walnut Creek in a big park. And this is the Sketchers again at the Albany Bulb, looking towards the hills. This was a demonstration I did in class. This was based on an inspiration from someone in the Sketchers group who would maybe just do some colorful shapes, and then they would paint on top. And so you could see both of the layers, but it just made it more interesting. So it's all the more reason not to get uptight when you paint, because sometimes cool things happen. You can discover something. Painting in Tilden Park on the path. There's some eucalyptus trees looking down a path. These are landscape demonstrations from last summer. This is Strawberry Creek Park on Addison Street in Berkeley. This is Mountain View Cemetery, which is at the top of Piedmont Avenue in Oakland, Piedmont area. I did a few paintings from there in some of my other books that I'll show you. So that's this book, and I still have lots more to go. This is my Khadi sketchbook. This is the big one. It's a hardback. I did decorate the front. It doesn't come like that with the blue and the gray honeycomb. And I do really love these two watercolor paintings that I did in there. And I've had some complaints about the paper. You have to be cool with the fact that it doesn't have as much sizing as other brands of paper. So there's a chance that the paint will soak through. All those fibers sort of stick out. It's a softer paper, and those little fibers pick up on the paint, and it'll look like it's granulating, even if it's not a granulating color, just because you get that little discoloration. So, I mean, that's true granulation up here, right? That is a granulating blue. That's ultramarine. But even this red has sort of a gritty, sort of uneven quality. And that is not a granulating color. That's just the paper acting in the way that paper behaves. This is a combination of colored pencil and watercolor. Nasturtiums in my backyard on top of an old sewing machine stand. It's another one of those still life pictures that I did from washes that I got at Trader Joe's. Played around with the color. Nothing is really that bright blue-green. But I'm the boss of me, and I can do whatever I want. It's fun. I like doing these kinds of still life paintings. These are inspired by Laura Horn Art. She's got a lot of videos on Instagram, but she does a lot of pictures of leaves, and she combines watercolor and crayons. I think they're neocolor 2 crayons, and they're a lot of fun. And, you know, always swatching. trying out my colors ahead of time, deciding whether or not I like them together and do I want to use them in this picture. And here I am, I'm having fun. So I kind of did some finger painting with that pink ahead of time, let it dry, then I did the ink drawing, and then I did the watercolor, I think, last, and that is white gouache. So having fun. If you're too uptight, try getting messy. If you're too messy, try and paint a little tighter. It's good to just push against whatever it is that you tend to do from time to time. Makes you a better artist, helps you grow as a person. I believe this black stuff is either hematite or Mars black, but it's probably the most granulating color you'll ever find. And it's really cool. I mean, gritty. You can see those little particles. So once I let that dry completely, I got these little, I think these might be conté, and I just did those little marks, and it was fun, and I enjoyed it, and I like this picture. It doesn't have to be realistic. You don't have to know what you're doing ahead of time. You can just get in there and start making stuff and take risks. My parents' house, a writing table that my mom has in her spare bedroom, and drawing and painting familiar scenes. So, you know, remembering places by drawing them. Looking at her window at the cyclamen, making little notes about ideas. I think this started off as something I didn't like, and then I just started building onto it. And, you know, remembering that you can change things. Don't get hung up if you don't like something. See if you can turn it into something a little bit more cool. Take risks. Again, in my friend's backyard, these are Brussels sprout stems. We'd already cut out the Brussels sprouts. This is a Strawberry Creek Park, and you can really see there's some granulation, but I think most of that texture is just coming from that paper. But it's cool looking. This is another one from the cemetery in Mountain View on just above Piedmont Avenue. I love all those palm trees. Really cool. More palm trees. And these are those Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2 crayons that are a lot of fun. And if I get them wet, then they sort of bleed. Any place where it's smooth, I got it wet. And you can also draw and paint stuff from TV. So I was watching an episode of Dairy Girls, and there was a view from above of the landscape, and it was beautiful and green, and I decided to draw it. Here's my final one in this book. And I've just been thinking about government and kings and ruling and so on and so forth. And I had fun making this crown. It's kind of ridiculous. And I've actually used paints that I made. Someone gave me some pigments that were actually designed for makeup. So I mixed the pigment with gum arabic, which is kind of a sap from a tree, and a little bit of honey. And I let them dry out, and now they are watercolor. That's really all you need to make watercolor, and now I can paint with them. And then this shiny metallic stuff is acrylic paint. So that was fun. So I'm going to show you my little bitty one. So this is the little bitty Khadi sketchbook, and this cover was not originally glued on it. I glued it on, but it was wrapped in this paper. So I liked it, so I just made it permanent. And I'll just show you what I did this past year. Table at my mom's house. This little guy broke, but now I have a record of it playing around. These are Stablio Woody 3-in-1 colored pencils, and they work out pretty well. I like them, and they're water soluble. With brushes, over here I'm laying acrylic marker on top of watercolor, and you can see some are very opaque and some are more transparent, and just having fun. Tested out some colors and then went over it with my pen, which was leaking. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to have a party with my leaky pen and make a bunch of scribbles and see what happens and not be too uptight about it. I like metallic paint, can you tell? But these are both oak galls. And this is like a double-decker fruit stand. So here's some pears that I painted gold. The apples are a little gold too. And then here's the top layer, focusing more on the fruit up here. And, you know, I might cover this up later or add to it. This is some plein air looking out the window at my in-laws' house. Trees and buildings. And I also sharpened the graphite pencil, and I got the shavings wet and did my best to dissolve them. And you get this nice kind of sparkly, shiny gray color. And then I dipped my finger in there and I just started making fingerprints over here, and then I circled some of them and colored in the background with some colored pencil. So just playing around, having fun. I did, because I was really scrubbing that graphite over here with a wet paintbrush, it did soak through a little bit, although you can't tell because I got messy on the next page, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, that lack of sizing will make things soak through. So I just scribbled on there with different colored pencils, and then with my ink pen scribbled around. And I think this was a white pen that wasn't working well, but if I pressed it down hard enough, I could get these little tiny circles that are kind of cool looking. So just what kind of mark can you make? Don't get uptight if it's not exactly what you want. Just go, well, what can I do? And have fun with that. And this green, light green here is acrylic marker. And then just acrylic marker city over here. That's my final sketchbook for 2025, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it inspired you to make more sketches and journals and play around with arts and crafts on your own. Bye.